For example 3,
dividing
it's actually
polynomials.
almost the exact same as what we just did. It's just written in a different form. Now remember that we talked about
Dividing
when we have an
polynomials.
exponent with a negative 1.
So today we are
that
going
is equivalent to 1 over
take a long polynomial that has a
same
number of different
expression
terms
in this case
and
to a positive
divide it
exponent.
by
So
a
really
monomial.
what we're
So
doing
divided by
is
one
we're just
term,
saying
or
that
divide it by
we're taking the polynomial
multiple terms.
and we're dividing it by z minus 1.
Quick way
Which
to do it
we
called
will do with
synthetic
our long
division.
division, because that's what the question's asking.
So in the first question here, we're looking at that polynomial in the numerator divided by a monomial in the denominator.
So z times
just
what
like
gives
if I
me
gave
z
you
to
the
the fourth,
question,
that's
2x plus
4
4 over
then
2,
I multiply it.
that would be the same as 2x over 2
Then I multiply
plus
it
4
and get
over
z to
2.
the fourth.
The denominator
minus
goes under
z
each
cubed.
term. So the same thing
then
is true
I subtract.
with
So these
our
will cancel. Negative 3
breakdown
plus
here.
2
So we have
gives me
5a squared b
then z
over
times what gives me
5ab
negative z cubed. That
minus
would be
15
negative z squared.
ab cubed
Then I
over
actually multiply it
5ab
through. Z times
plus
negative z
10
squared
a
is negative z cubed.
b to the 4th
Don't forget to
over
bring down that next
5ab.
one.
Then I'm just going to
Negative 1
simplify
times
each
negative
term.
z squared is positive.
So the 5's
z squared
will cancel because anything divided by itself is equal to 1.
And now my z's
Here
kind of
we
look like
have
2 sometimes.
two bases
I apologize.
of a,
So we would
and that
add
means we
these
subtract
together,
the exponents. So we get
because we have the
a,
negative z plus
the positive
z,
1, and the b's
2 minus
cancel each other
1
out as well
gives me
because anything over itself is equal
1.
to 1. Minus,
Then we'll bring down the next
5 goes
one.
into 15
negative
3
4z.
times,
2 times what
and
gives
we're left
us
with b
positive
squared,
1.
3 minus
z.
1.
Oh my god.
Plus, 5 goes into 10 twice,
z,
a squared, because 3 minus
those
1,
lines in there.
and 4
Times
minus
what gives
1
us z squared.
is 3.
Then I actually multiply it through.
Oh, and I forgot the 3 here, and the 2 here.
So negative
So
4
that is the final
plus
answer.
1
So what's
is
important to remember here is that that
3z, and I
monomial,
will
the one
drop
term in the denominator, goes
that
under
last
each
4.
individual term in the numerator.
Z times what gives me negative 3.
Now we're going to change it up a little bit, and we're going to do a
that will
long
give
division.
me positive 3.
So the first thing we're going to do is actually
And then I subtract to give me negative 1.
Oops,
So
x
what has happened
5.
here is that we have a remainder. Well, the exact same rule applies when we have a remainder.
Create the long division
We take
question.
that remainder.
Now we're simply just using the same rules that we would use
We put it
if
over
we only had numerical values
z
here.
minus 1.
So we're looking at how many
this
times
is our final
x
answer.
can go into x squared. Well, x times x
They
is
don't
x
always
squared.
have to
So we're really then
divide
looking
in
at
evenly.
this multiplication. X times x is x squared, and we write it down here. Then
So synthetic division
x
is just a
negative 5
quicker
is equal
way
to
to
negative 5x.
do what we just did.
So you
but there's a couple
multiply
of rules.
the x by both terms.
We have to
then we
use
subtract just like regular long division.
that are
So the x squareds cancel.
in descending order
we get
based on their
-2
degree.
plus
And
5.
we have to have a linear.
And
so
then we
x
drop
minus
down
r, where r could
the
be the
next
number,
term.
such as 2.
Then we say x
So it
times
says
what
first bring
is going
down
to
the
equal
coefficients.
3x plus 3.
Then we're going to do some
Then once
multiplication
we have that
and some
3, we
addition.
multiply it by the
So
first
this
term
is some wording that will help
and
you
the second term.
in case you get lost. And here's the question. So notice that it looks very, very similar. So we could solve this using long division.
Not on my game here.
But we're going to use synthetic division. So the first
now
step
we
is
subtract,
write down the terms
and we end
of
up
the
getting
dividends
0.
so that
our
the
remainder is
degrees
0.
of the
So what did we
terms are
just
in
find?
descending order.
We found that if we were to
then
multiply
just write down
together
the coefficient as shown.
x minus
so
5,
first of all, we want to make sure that
and
the degree
x plus
goes
3
to
it will
1.
equal
And then really this is a
x
0.
squared minus
to the
2x
0.
minus 15.
So they're already in the right
Even
order.
though we were given the polynomial
Then
and we were
it says
given
write
one of the
down
factors,
just the
we can find
coefficient.
the
So
other
the
factor by
coefficient
using long
of x
division.
cubed is just 1. The coefficient of x squared
try
is
another
negative 4. The coefficient
I
of
don't even have it
6x
written
is
here.
6. And the coefficient of negative 4 is negative 4. Write down the constant of the divisor.
We have to
x minus
use
r
coefficients
to the left. So see how it's in this little in descending order based on their degree.
So
and
if the factor is
we
x
have
minus
to have a linear.
2.
So x minus
you
r,
set that equal to 0,
number, such as 2.
That will give you
So
your
it says
r
first
value,
bring
which
down
is the
the
number that goes here.
coefficients.
Then we're going to
do some
bring down the
multiplication and
coefficient
some addition.
So this
The
is
very
some
first
wording that
coefficient.
will help you in case you
The
get
next
lost. Now here's the question. So notice that it
we
looks very, very similar. So
the
we could
r
solve
value
this using long division.
by the coefficient.
But
So we
we're gonna
do,
use
watch my
synthetic
cursor,
division.
2
So the first step is write
times
down
1,
the terms of the dividends,
and then we put it under
so
the
that
negative 4,
degrees of
and then
the
we
terms
add
are in
down
descending
the
order.
column. So right here we're going to
Then
add.
just write down the coefficient
Negative 4
as shown.
plus 2 is
Okay,
negative
so
2.
first of all,
Then
we
we
want
do
to
it
make
again.
sure that the degree goes
2
3 to
by
1.
negative 2,
And
which
then really
is the
this
next
is a 0 because it's x to the 0.
number underneath the line.
So they're already
that
in the
gives
right
us
order.
negative 4, and we put that under
Then
the 6,
it says write down
happening
just
right
the
here.
coefficient.
And we
so
add
the
down.
coefficient of x cubed is just 1.
2
The coefficient
times
of x
2
squared is negative
is
4. Coefficient of 6x is 6.
And then
the
we add
coefficient
down.
of negative 4
So what
is
has
negative
happened
4.
here is we just have some
Write
numbers,
down the
but what they mean
of the divisor,
are the coefficients
x minus r, to the left
of our
so
solution.
See how it's in this little
So it says write down the product
L
under the
shape.
next coefficient. Negative
So
4 plus
if
4
the
is 0. The remainder is 0.
factor
So
is
here's
x
the
minus
remainder.
2. You set that equal to 0.
Then what we're doing is
That
we
will
take
give you
the
your
1.
r value,
It goes
which
here.
is the number that goes
X
here.
squared.
Then
Negative
step
2.
1, bring down
Negative
the
2.
coefficient.
Positive 2.
The very first coefficient.
And how do we know which degree to use in the
The
beginning?
next step.
Well, we use 1 less than the original question gave
So
us,
we
which was
multiply
a cube,
the
if you
r
go back.
value by the
Here.
coefficient. So we do, watch
let's
my
look at
cursor,
it again.
2
The first thing we
times
want to do
1,
is make sure that the
and then we put it
degree
under the
decreases
negative
by
4,
1, and then we
3,
add
2, 1,
down the column.
0.
So right here
Then
we're
we
going
write
to
the
add.
coefficients.
Negative 4
4
plus 2 is
negative
negative
6,
2. Then we do
4,
it again. We
negative
multiply the 2 by negative
Put a
2,
line.
which is the next
We find out what the r value is.
number
2y
underneath the
minus
line.
1 is
That
equal
gives
to
us
0.
negative 4, and we put that under
Y
the
is
6,
equal to 1
which is
half.
what's happening right here. Then we add down. Now the book does it a little bit different than this.
2
just to warn
times
you.
2 is 4.
We drop the first coefficient. Then we multiply.
And then we add
1
down.
half times 4.
So what has happened here is we just have
Gives
some
me 2,
numbers, but
and
what
then I
they
add
mean
down the column.
are the
So I
coefficients
get negative 4.
1 half times
Of
negative
our
4
solution.
is negative 2.
So it says write down the
add down the
product under
column.
the next coefficient. Negative 4 plus 4
1
is
half
0.
times
The
2
remainder is 0. So here's the remainder.
is 1. We add down the column.
Then what we're doing is we take
these
the
are
1.
the coefficients.
It goes here. X squared. Negative 2.
And the
Negative
last
2.
one's always the
Positive
remainder.
2. And how do we know which degree
So
to
we
use
started
in
with
the
the
beginning?
cube, so
Well,
we have
use
y
1 less
squared.
than the original
Y to the
question
1.
gave us, which was a cube.
And this would
if
be
we go
y
back
0.
here. So let's look at it again.
Let's try one more.
The first thing we want to do is make sure
Now
that
we
the
check our
degree
degrees.
decreases by 1.
3.
We're
2,
missing a
1,
2.
0.
So I'm going to rewrite
Then
this.
we write the coefficients.
Because we need to
4,
have that 2
negative
there.
6,
So I'm going to put a 0
4,
for the coefficient.
negative 1.
Oops, y. Put a line. We find out what the r value is.
So I'm going to write
2y
them.
minus
2,
1
0,
is equal
1,
to 0.
negative
4.
Y is equal to 1 half.
My r value is x plus 2 is equal to 0.
Now the book
so
does
x
it a
is
little
equal to
bit different
negative
than this,
2,
just
to warn you. We
I
drop the
first
first
one,
coefficient, and I multiply
then we
on the
multiply.
outside. 1 half times 4,
And I add down.
gives me 2, and then I
8,
add down the
down,
column. So I get
9,
negative 4. 1
negative
half times
18,
negative 4 is negative 2.
down, negative
We
22.
add down
So
the
this
column.
one has a remainder.
1 half times
Again,
2 we
is
start
1.
with
We
the
add down the
coefficients.
column.
So this is going to be 2.
Then these are the coefficients.
because it's 1 less than the original degree. 4y.
And the
Plus
last
9
one's always the remainder.
minus 22. 22 is the remainder. So
we started with the
22
cube,
over.
so
we have y
look, I have x's and
squared.
y's, that's why I
Y
did
to the
that.
1. And this would be y 0.
Y plus 2.
Let's try one more. Now we check our degrees. 3. We're missing a 2. So I'm going to rewrite this. Because we need to have that 2 there. So I'm going to put a 0 for the coefficient. Oops, y. So I'm going to write them. 2, 0, 1, negative 4. My r value is x plus 2 is equal to 0. So x is equal to negative 2. I drop the first one, and I multiply on the outside. And I add down. 8, add down, 9, negative 18, add down negative 22. So this one has a remainder. Again, we start with the coefficients. So this is going to be 2y squared, because it's 1 less than the original degree, 4y plus 9 minus 22. 22 is the remainder. So 22 over, oh look, I have x's and y's. That's why I did that. Y plus 2.